You're listening to episode 290 of the Major Issues podcast. In this episode, we talk about the writers being on strike, the actors being on strike, and celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the Wolverine. The Major Issues podcast starts right now. Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason, and it's a brand new episode of the Major Issues podcast, brought to you by ComicBookClique.com, and I am joined here by the amazing, the astonishing, the uncanny A-Rob, the Marvel God. Let the people hear you.
Yo, hey, what's good, y'all? I'm here with my boy. Oh, yeah, it was a good boy. Yeah. But what's good, y'all?
It's been a week of craziness when it comes to comic books and comic book media. More so, comic book media, given what quite possibly is the biggest news in the last 60 years, which is the fact that both the writers and actors are striking currently.
Oh man, it's been rough, man. 2024 is going to be a rough year for content, man. It's going to be rough, right? But we support the strike. We support it. Okay, 100%. Here at Comic Book Clique, we support the actors. We support the writers. We support them being able to live a good life, being able to be paid a decent wage. There's so many jokes about writers out here, like the one in Rick and Morty and that dude who wrote Story Lord. Living in that rundown ass apartment, and there's like some old ramen and some expired milk in his fridge, like that. That's sad. Just like manga artists.
The writer who wrote for She-Hulk and got like $328 or something like that. Something ridiculous like that. Yeah.
Wait. The writer for She-Hulk.
Oh no. Sorry. The one that wrote the episode with Daredevil in it specifically.
Wow, got paid
like 300 something. Yeah. Dollars.
That was like the best episode of the whole show.
Sorry, a mere 396 in residuals.
What?
She probably got paid for the, like in 2021, the average television writer in Hollywood made upwards of $10K in residuals for an episode of network primetime TV. But since it's on a streaming services changed all the rules. So instead of banking $10K, you get $396. And when you ask why, they kind of just hide all the, this is the unfounded territory. Since now there's so many streaming services and stuff is being made exclusively for them, changes the rules to the game with a lot of this stuff. Combined with AI threatening to take over writing for these guys, they need laws and rules and all that kind of stuff, structure put in place before this all comes, because once Hollywood is allowed to break the rules before they're established, it's a wrap.
Facts. It is a whole wrap. And you know what else is a wrap? A lot of the things that are delayed because of the strike, unfortunately. Spider-Man Part 2 Beyond the Spider-Verse Part 2 is delayed. The next Mission Impossible, whatever the next Fast and Furious, Kang, Secret Wars, Spider-Man 4, Deadpool,
the Batman,
X-Men 2, the Batman 2, the Penguin series, man, it across the board, and some DC properties too. Oh yeah, we just said Batman 2. It's just crazy. Even Invincible might catch a little bit of the delay. And I've been looking forward to season 2, man. Oh.
Yeah. The Screen Actors Guild makes up over 160,000 actors. So
that's basically all of them.
Yeah, I saw that the actor who plays Blue Beetle says that due to the strike, no SAG actors are going to be promoting the film. Which isn't going to serve the film well, which isn't going to serve DC well. That'll be like the sixth, film in a row.
Sixth just bomb.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, no. Oh
it
no. Oh
dangerous
no.
territory. But yeah, I mean, there was also that story going around that Hollywood was trying to like give actors a one-time fee for their likeness and then use CGI to recreate them and kind of
Oh
use
my
it in
God.
perpetuity.
I saw that. Like when I first saw Rogue One, and I saw the actor that when they CGI recreated the actor who played Tarkin, I knew
Yeah,
from then on, oh, this is gonna be a thing. But I didn't think
yeah,
they would take it to the point where like even if you're alive, they would just scan you and have your likeness for whatever they want. So now they don't have to pay background actors no more. They can just CGI them in the background, and they won't
yeah.
get paid for their likeness. Like, what is that? Yeah, no,
Cutting the whole extra
strike.
stuff completely out of the equation. You know, small
Right,
town actors, character
trying to
actors.
save
What?
money.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, no, 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 no,
And
strike,
it's
damn
the
it.
worst part about it is it's trying to save money when you're making the most. Like these
Already
CEOs for these studios are making so much money. Um,
millions,
and
millions. I think the
every
one
time
for
it's come to the
WB
table,
makes like
yeah, it's been an issue anytime they want to negotiate anything. This AI stuff was going on for months with the writers, you know, with the writers because they were threatening to do things as far as like taking books and just putting it through an AI system, and then the AI could just write a script, right? A book adaptation.
right.
You just
Oh my
put
God. AI
copy
is so
paste,
strong.
and then they just chop it up into walk through the door and yada yada. Yeah, it wouldn't be difficult. And then they hire a actual writer to look through it, make sure it all sounds okay, not crazy, and they end up paying them less because they're editing at that point. They're not writing anything. So yeah,
Right? Oh my goodness.
money. The need for money always creates innovation, but usually that innovation is at the cost of humanity a
It's
little bit.
truly it's always at the expense of someone else. Greed,
Yeah, man.
people, greed.
Yeah, we live in a
Ah.
world, but we live in a world. Literally, we live in a country that prides itself on like the rich, like whoever's the richest wins, right? Like you're allowed
Yeah.
to, you got to supposed to run faster than everybody else. The worst part about it though is I feel like a couple years ago you didn't have to play if you didn't want to, and now you have to play
Now you
because
have to. Now you totally have to.
yeah, you got to play the money game now because everybody who was winning is winning so much that they're forcing everybody else to raise all their prices, and so now you gotta, yeah, gotta make the most money, man. So
Yeah.
we're in dangerous territory with that kind of stuff. When with the Wolverine, the next time we're gonna see Wolverine in Deadpool 3, with that whole thing being postponed. What, a day after majority of the some of the set photos were leaked. Like the set photos were leaked,
Literally.
everyone went crazy, and then like, oh yeah, by the way, it's the strike, so we're not going to do anything. Um, because of that,
Man,
we're going to
content
cover.
creators gonna be having fun just looking at
Yeah,
that same photo and just making all the fan theory videos of
I want to see what new rock stars could do with 20 months of
it.
looking at the same photo. But we
There's
decided
all
that
the
ending
Easter
this.
eggs in this one photo.
We it's Comics are so vast that there's always content for us to cover. So
Oh yeah.
I don't mind doing longer comic runs. I don't mind doing series. It'll give me some time to catch up on certain stuff. And while good men and good women get paid the right amount of money, so I'm super down with that. But it seems like we fell into the um, fortunate luck of we're coming around to the 10-year anniversary of the Wolverine. It came out
Wow.
roughly 10 years ago. Seems like
Yeah,
such a long time
2013.
ago.
Holy
Yeah.
crap.
Um,
Wow.
and yeah, with the whole him returning in Deadpool, this being the first film with James Mangold directing. I wanted that to be the main course of this podcast, talking about that film, The Wolverine. And sometimes I feel like I don't give it enough credit, but before I get into any of that, what I wanted to kind of have a little tangent on is this idea that sometimes I will watch a film in a vacuum, right? And think my opinion of it is completely different than when I saw it either leading up to something or as a part of something. And I guess I never gave that experience that much credit that could change all of it, right? If like if I this might be a film I was like, film was all right, and then I watch it again, I'm like, oh my god, that was amazing. Why did I think it was all right? Well, maybe that year 5 bangers came out. So by comparison, I saw that one and I was like, oh, it was all right. You know, I feel like the Wolverine is a little bit in that category for me. I was by that point we had got on Avengers, right? I was so swept up in the MCU and what they were doing.
Yeah, because 2013 was a crazy year for movies. That's when didn't Iron Man 3 come out
3.
And Man of Steel?
Yep, the year before the Dark Knight trilogy ends. So you understand, like, there's a lot of hallmark comic book moments that are happening just before this that I think sort of kind of cloud it. And it's almost like, in my opinion, the least referenced X-Men film, probably.
It truly is, because it was really it was the first. We don't reference Origins a lot, but the Wolverine was truly the first standalone Wolverine movie for real, and it does not get referenced a lot, like at all. It's always Days of Future Past or Logan.
Yeah,
or X-Men movie.
Like this is I feel like the Goldilocks and Three Bears. Like, one is really, really, really bad. Logan is amazing, but if only he had the youth and the stuff that we see in Wolverine, So like I definitely want to get on that. I was kind of bugging out because, like, I was talking about the Blue Beetle stuff. Flash is out on digital when this episode comes out already. I saw them putting out deleted scenes on Facebook. I was like, wait, what? Like, what? Why are there full?
I saw that. I thought that was fake almost for a second. I'm like, what? Oh, the movie just came out.
Full high res deleted scenes on Facebook of all places, right? Which, if it was illegal, they would have just ripped it out.
Right.
And it's like, no, the towel is thrown, bro. I've never seen. Am I bugging? How long has it been?
Since the DCEU started?
No. I'm talking about since this movie's been out to when it's out on digital.
Oh, well, it's been what, 2-3 weeks? It came out early July, right? Or was it June? It came out in June.
I'm thinking
or
maybe
July
June.
17th. It was June 17th, right?
Today's July 18th, so
it came out a month ago.
Yeah.
And it's already straight to digital.
June 16th. Yeah, and it's already 30 days.
In 30 days, The Flash is straight to digital. That is so sad. And the fact that it bombed at the box office so bad.
It almost ran as fast as it could to digital. My name is Barry Allen, and my movie is the fastest movie alive. Watch it go straight from theaters to digital. Oh man,
I love The Flash. Ridiculous. Probably my second favorite character next to Green Lantern.
Yeah, and it's all about how you handle the character sometimes. And it seems like comic book fans out there are having a pretty rough time with the handling of Miss Marvel currently, as she goes through a transformation of sorts. About is it not even like, it's probably like the same week that the comic came out that they're going to like a funeral and stuff, right?
Right, the death of Miss Marvel, and then like not even without even setting in. Oh, we're already announcing like she's gonna be brought back as a mutant. Like, it's only been a week. Can you like give it like a month? Like, no, they want to just rush this out as quick as possible. Like, I'm assuming it's because in part of the Marvels.
Well, we know that Miss Marvel, the show, set her up as a mutant, right? We got that nice little X-Men the animated series tease of the song at
Right.
the end of that
A nice
series.
little music thing. Just
Yeah, and her friend told her
oh,
that she had like a mutation. So, and everyone was bugging because we were wondering what was going to happen with this whole Terrigen Mist thing, right? Like, were they going to do that? That leads to Inhumans. They kind of like are
mm,
not talking about the Inhumans. So instead of making her an Inhuman, they made her a straight up mutant. Um, I don't know. I don't know how close anyone is to talking about this kind of stuff, like as far as like the studio to the comic section or whatever. But I really wonder if it's something they wanted to test out here, or if they just gonna do it that way, and now the comics has to kind of match up with the MCU version. Because I don't know, I felt like Kamala was a character popular in her own right prior to her show.
she was. She very much was. Ever since 2015, she's always been a fan favorite on any team. The Champions, Avengers, Young Avengers, yeah, Secret Avengers, Secret Warriors. She's always been just, you know, in the spotlight, and she's always no one's ever mad about seeing her on the page with anyone. She's always worked well with every character from Spider-Man to Magneto.
How do you feel about this change then, as somebody who's read her in many different ways in different contexts? Is this something that you can see that will elevate the character, or do you have kind of reservations about this recent murder and then brought back to life? Which again, I think we even called here, the whole Krakoa resurrection stuff.
Right. Well, hold on.
Krakoa.
Well, I I do appreciate the change just because it will elevate some of her stories, just because now she will be mixing in with a lot more of the X-Men stories. And for those who have been reading those stories, they have been crazy. From Morocco to Krakoa, like the Sinister, the new Sinister run. Like
Yeah.
it's been pretty
The
crazy.
Sins of Sinister, is that what that was?
Yeah, the Sins of the Sinister. Yeah, like the most recent X Men run. It's been insane, and to see her alongside with some of these the new roster of X Men that was just voted in from the last Hellfire gala,
Yeah.
where everyone was just dripped and go. Oh my god, the fashion, the drip, the oh my goodness. Bishop showed out. Cyclops, Emma Frost, great. But I do appreciate the change. I don't think it's not gonna be nothing bad towards the character. If anything, any change is good for characters that are already loved, and it's comics, so nothing stays the same forever. The
Yeah.
status quo will always revert back to the status quo, but going forward,
So
she
so
will.
we there might be a remember the time Kamala was in the X-Men kind of, is that
Right.
okay? Yeah. I can see that. I can see that. I there was a bit of reservations with me, but I only read her original, run with G. Willow Wilson, and because I really liked all of it, the cultural stuff. I liked the idea of Inhumans at the time. Like I had no beef with the Inhumans, so like I liked that there was a different kind of subsect of people who got their powers in a different way. Um,
Right. Yeah.
and so
Whole dope concept and premise behind Inhumans. Yeah.
yeah, so when I saw her in all this X-Men stuff, for a second I hesitated because I was like, I don't want her to get lost. There's a lot of X-Men, right? There's only one Kamala. And I feel like Kamala in her own book or whatever, and she's gonna have her own stuff, kind of stands out. And I think underneath the same color garb as everybody else with the same, little X's and stuff. It's cool. It's like Spider-Man when he joined when he was on the Future Foundation. Like that was cool.
Right.
I
That
don't know
was
if I would
cool.
want him to stay there, but that was a fun
Right.
time there.
I wonder if Kamala becoming a mutant will help bridge that I don't want to say gap, but help mend the wounds from the last, battle between the Inhumans versus X-Men. Now that Kamala's a mutant, hopefully they can like mend some old wounds and form a new team, just like how the Avengers and the X-Men formed the Uncanny Avengers after the
Yeah.
Avengers versus X-Men run. Like hopefully maybe this we get a whole new team of Inhumans and X-Men, which probably will be the most powerful team on Earth. Like
Yeah.
who's stopping a team of Inhumans and X-Men?
Because they're still out and about, right? The Inhumans on.
Yeah, they're still around.
I haven't really read up on them in a bit. What was the last time
Yeah,
I
no,
saw them?
they're still around. They're still around.
Yeah, we'll see if they blow the dust off. Because I mean, they brought Black Bolt into Multiverse of Madness. At the very least, they understand, the character and what he's supposed to be. But yeah, we'll see how they go moving forward with Kamala. The Marvels, we saw some set photos today, were released by Entertainment Weekly, I want to say. Things are looking good.
Yeah.
It looks like Miss Captain Marvel has a new suit. She has like a more simplified red on the top, blue on the bottom with the gold symbol. Almost muted in comparison to her, like the other stuff I felt like was a bit brighter. It's good to see Monica Rambeau in a super suit. Nick Fury's there, and Iman's actually writing or co-writing the comic Kamala Khan, a new mutant.
Yeah, no, I read that. Yeah, and I wonder if that's also going to impact the character in the Marvels. There was a lot of they released test screening for it, and it tested positive. A lot of regular people, not MCU fans, just regular general audience people who see movies, it did pretty well. And from what I've heard from these rumors, man, I see why it did well. Like they toned down some of the how there was going to be a lot of dance numbers and stuff. They only made this just a one instead of like having like 5 or 6 originally.
Yeah. And I think a well-placed dance number is harmless. I don't know if you've seen Umbrella Academy, but there's a famous,
Oh yeah.
dance number in that. And when it happened, I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. But then it made me fall in love with the show. I was like, this kind of weird humor I'm kind of down with. But you already know there's people already going in with their arms crossed with this. You already know that there's people sharpening their pitchforks before this film even comes out, ready to hate it. So it's gonna have its haters, but I do hope that it's good. I've been getting bit hard recently with a lot of these sequels, man. Look, a lot of these sequels haven't been hitting, and it's hard. It's hard once you've nailed the story to come back around and be like, I got another chapter of this, But yeah, I'm hoping that they stick the landing. I mean, they had to know enough. It was a bold move to not just do Captain Marvel 2, right? Like calling this the Marvels almost shares the marquee, which means that they got things to do with these women.
Oh yeah, and going forward, I don't think there will be really no more sequels, but more so team up movies with the main character, headlining the title for it, I guess, or having a nod to the title.
Yeah.
Because so far, looking at what's coming out with the Marvels, and then what is the next big movie coming up after that? Captain America, New Brave New World, and then what? Spider-Man.
Blade somewhere down the line. Eventually,
Yeah.
Blade was having writers and actors issues before the strike. Before it was
Man,
cool.
4 times it was delayed, and now this is just. But hey, it gives it more time to actually. Well, now with the writer, I don't know what's. Man, Blade is just gonna be forever in limbo. Oh my goodness! But with the Marvels coming out, like the Mass, I don't even know if this is well. Grab your salt shakers, people.
Grab your salt shakers.
But I'm just gonna say one thing. It's a rumor, but possibly maybe true considering how the multiverse is happening and just portals and dimensions are just popping up everywhere. Quantum entanglement. But Blue Marvel coming through. So
that would fit the name.
I'm excited. No confirmation on like the actor who's playing it, but just Blue Marvel. And
yeah,
but what you said earlier about not being named Captain Marvel 2, I think, like I said, I think it's a good move because team up movies going forward, unless it's an actual origin movie for a new character, because I guess the Marvels is like the sole spiritual successor to Captain Marvel, and it's the continuation of Miss Marvel's story and Monica Rambeau from WandaVision. And that's coming.
And if you're right, the introduction of Blue Marvel.
yeah, and the introduction
The
of Blue
Marvels.
Marvel and
Yeah.
the Marvels, and in the continuation of Nick Fury's story from Secret Invasion, because we do see him on the Solar Space Station in the trailer. So, but during the Secret Invasion, he comes down from the station and he's on Earth. But
Yeah.
how does he get back up there? So, this is a continuation of his story as well.
Yeah, that's what I said. I think it has a lot going for it. We won't be seeing anything because I was trying to sketch out a loose schedule. The next big Hollywood movie for comic books will be Blue Beetle in August. After that, we don't get anything until November. When is Craven out? Is Craven out this year? I
I
feel
think
like it
it's
is.
supposed to be coming out in October.
Craven is out. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So it's gonna be um Blue Beetle, and then Craven, and then the Marvels. Though, and then
Ah,
Aquaman in December, unless they move that as well. I feel like that was one of those weird, uh, weird
Merry
ones.
Christmas, everyone! The last DC movie ever from the DCU.
Yes, right. December 20th, yeah, 2023.
Merry Christmas.
Google's so ridiculous, or some of these websites are so ridiculous. It says it will likely be able to stream on Max at a later date. Yeah, yeah, because they own it. That's how that works. Yes, yes, you are correct, sir. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna put all that to bed. The way where that's at. That's all I got. I just wanted to kind of shoot the thwip a little bit about the things and such going on these crazy times that we are in. But yeah, if you are ready, we can get into this Wolverine.
Oh yeah, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.
So, the Wolverine is a 2013 superhero film featuring the Marvel Comics character Wolverine. It is the sixth installment in the X-Men film series, the second installment in the trilogy of Wolverine films after X-Men Origins Wolverine, and a spin-off sequel to X-Men The Last Stand. Directed by James Mangold from a screenplay by Scott Frank and Mark Bomback, based on the 1982 limited series Wolverine by Chris Claremont, friend of the show, and Frank Miller. It stars Hugh Jackman as Wolverine alongside Rila Fukushima, Taiyo Okamoto, Hiroyuki Sanada, Fimke Jansen, and Will Yun Lee. Following the events of X-Men Last Stand, Wolverine travels to Japan where he engages in an old acquaintance in a struggle that has lasting consequences. Stripped of his healing powers, Wolverine must battle deadly samurai while struggling with the guilt over Jean Grey's death. A-Rob the Marvel Guy, was this a film you saw in theaters?
I saw the Wolverine twice in theaters. It was
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
Yeah, like I loved it because we got to saw like a actual brutal version of the character because he seemed like they held back on him a little bit. So that's how we got that hallway scene of him in X2. We haven't got that much of him,
Yeah,
but in this one, it was like we got to see like what really makes Wolverine tick, like the trauma, like the loss, the grief, how he handles the pain. Because for those of you who don't know how his healing factor works, when it comes to emotional pain and traumatic pain, it just heals over it. It doesn't get rid of it. You
yeah,
know, oh, that still lays in his brain, which is why he can't sleep. Fun
yeah.
fact.
Yeah, it's not like his memories heal. Any of those kind of stuff. It's not like, I mean, like, we've seen him being immune to certain kinds of telepathic attacks and certain things, but for the most part, his trauma, like you were talking about, the things that he's been through, he can't seem to escape. And he gets a lot of credit both in the comics and in this film, particularly for being damn near indestructible, but he doesn't feel indestructible because of all the stuff he's been through, which I think is an interesting part of the character.
Man, which is wow, you hit the nail on the head with that one. Ooh, speaking of facts,
Do you have a big history with Wolverine the character? Are you a big Wolverine comic head? Well, are you prefer more like Wolverine and the X-Men animated series kind of stuff?
believe it or not, I actually am, I guess, a massive Wolverine fan.
It's weird when you find that out, right? Like the other
I
day, I
think
was like,
about it,
"Oh my god, I
I've
love
seen
Spider-Man."
like right, like damn, I really do love Spider Man. Like I've seen everything Spider Man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, 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 man.
but yeah, I guess I am a massive Wolverine fan from Wolverine, X Men, from X Men all the way up until I guess Deadpool 3. I've seen this man's career on and off screen for the past 23 years. Like for Hugh Jackman's career playing the character, and I
Yeah,
guess I've loved the character since like like that. That was my first introduction to the character when he first said, "Yo, bub." Like that was like, "Yo, why is he talking to the leader of the group like this?" Like, yeah,
all
I thought Scott
sassy.
was.
Logan's
Why is
always
he
sassy.
not giving a fuck about it? Like, oh my god, I like him.
Yeah, yeah. Um. So yeah, I mean, did that? I feel like Logan, even though he was created in the '80s, he's '90s. Like that's. I think in the '90s, I think in comic books, I think of Wolverine. And yeah, always had that attitude and stuff. Obviously, the movie version has been different. You know, one of the biggest things
Oh yeah,
is the height. Hugh
the
Jackman is
height,
ridiculously
definitely the height.
taller than Logan should be.
Right,
But
like Hugh Jackman is like what 6'1", 6 feet. Wolverine's what 5'4".
yeah, were you were you at the point that majority of us were, where we were fine with whatever Wolverine we were going to get, or were there certain aspects of the character you wanted to see that you saw like in animation and in comics before? Like, was like this? Because a lot of X Men I felt like was, this is the best we're gonna get. So like,
Right, right. In the beginning, that's how I felt because they only could do so much by bringing those characters to life because they tried to ground the X Men so hard. But there
mm,
was so many aspects that I wanted. Like I wanted the more animalistic side of Wolverine, who snarled all the time. From the animated, the
yeah,
Wolverine X Men series or the X Men Evolution. He was more of an animal. He was brutal, but since it was kid shows, they didn't show all that. But those versions of Wolverine embodied the spirit of him. But in
yeah,
Hugh Jackman embodied the spirit of like what we would get like if it was a real version of Wolverine, minus the height. But like
yeah,
if a person were to go through that, how would they be? And he embodied that from bar scenes to fight scenes to just funeral. Like that would be Wolverine. How Wolverine would be drinking in the distance alone under a tree while it's raining. Like
yeah.
yeah, that's
I
that's him.
sometimes I wish his like it's weird to say English, but I wish his English wasn't as good. You know what I'm saying? Like I wish there was a bit more
Yeah,
dub
that's all like.
and
Like
a bit
that's all
more
about the
gruff.
snarling.
That's about it. Because the thing is, I while Hugh Jackman is obviously immortal in this role, like talk about
Man,
shoes they have to fill. If and when they do fill those shoes, they're going to be looking at things that they can actually have a choice in now, right? Maybe they do want someone 5'2", maybe or 4'9" or whatever, whatever Logan is. Maybe they want somebody who's Canadian. Like they get to pick that kind of stuff. So it's going to be very interesting. But when you talk about somebody who's like almost born to play the character, I think Hugh Jackman does a tremendous role in this. It's almost so weird. Yeah, obviously, I was introduced to the actor through this, and then like to hear that he like loves doing musicals and like Les Mis and
right? He's a
Greatest
good Broadway actor.
Showman. Yeah, Greatest Showman and all that kind of stuff. It's very weird. Um, because those two sides don't meet. And in a lot of ways, a lot of those Shakespearean actors have been vocal about like thinking about comic book movies and action movies and certain quote
Yeah.
unquote popcorn flicks. But he's someone who seems grateful to have played the role. I've seen things where he seems very excited to be around fans who like Wolverine, and we've seen him. My favorite video that I feel like encapsulates his whole passion towards the whole thing is when he's doing his ADR for Logan. And so he's basically re-recording lines for clarity for the film. So in the
Oh
film,
yeah.
yeah, he's running in the forest, and so he has to mimic running through the forest and attacking these people, and he's just putting all of.
Yeah, I've seen it. I saw that. I was like, yo, that is dedicated. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, he was getting into it. And we know Logan is the masterpiece that it is. But I was very surprised. I liked a lot of things that happened here in this film. I think the weirdest thing is that it felt so detached that it be allowed itself to then be forgettable, if that makes sense. It was such a spin-off that it was like, if you didn't see, you can literally watch Origins and watch Logan and not, you don't miss anything.
You really don't, because X-Men 1, 2, and 3 are right there.
Yeah, and then you get the, when the timeline comes back around and stuff, and so, and yeah, and then you're Gucci. So it's weird. It's weird that it became that kind of film that could kind of just fall through the cracks. But James Mangold, I think James Mangold and Hugh Jackman started creating something kind of magical here that would then be seen more so in Logan. But imagine if they were able to push this to R. If this could have been the R-rated film, my God, this has
It
been a samurai
definitely would
flick.
have. It would have stood out more. Definitely, definitely been more memorable, because it would have been our first, X-Men movie that would have had our R rating, and then it's Wolverine. And at first, it was supposed to be rated R, but they changed it to PG-13 to try to capitalize as much on the teenage kid audience. You know.
Yeah. I think they were gonna go through like the gamut and try to pump out as many X-Men Origin films as
hmm
they could. But
They
when
planned. They planned a
yeah,
Wolverine, Professor X, Gambit, Magneto.
I know for a fact
Yeah.
Magneto, and now that I think about it, if you consider that they were probably writing an X-Men Origins Magneto and just possibly added a couple people into it and called it X-Men First Class. I think that's why that movie comes out so well, because of how much of a character driven film that is around Magneto, Professor X, and those characters there. But yeah, Wolverine don't got to share the spotlight in this, and that's a positive. I was surprised to remember the Silver Samurai was in this. Not every day you get a Silver Samurai shout out.
It was definitely, spoiler alert, like interesting from like a definitely a it's a far cry difference from the comic book version of the character.
Yeah, it is. It's classic comic book movie adaptation, right? Like, I
Yeah.
guess, I guess. Even though Silver Samurai does have ties back to Yoshida, we'll talk about, and um, Harada, I believe is the other gentleman's name. Both of those names in the comics have worn the Silver Samurai outfit, but most notably in that 1982 run by Chris Claremont, where they introduced Mariko, and he goes back to Japan. And what do you think about tying a character like Wolverine to Japan the way they have? I feel like he's inseparable with some of that imagery, but they didn't have to. What do you think about pairing those two things?
Uh, a beautiful blend of culture, or just character and culture, if that makes sense. Like,
Mm,
who would have thought, like, this savage animal of a person would find serenity and peace and meaning and purpose in the land of the rising sun, you know? I guess
yeah,
where all people go to find redemption, as cliche as it is, it's either, either go to India, Japan, or China to find, your soul, for lack of
yeah,
better words. And it fit the character of Wolverine, because he's always, even though he's on the team, he's always had the most standalone comic runs and just like, titles by himself. And he's, for lack of better words, a Ronin.
yeah,
He is a samurai without a master. Spoiler alert, they said it in the movie.
yeah. They did. I agree with you, and even as you're talking, I think like I can see in Logan's mind thinking if you have regrets and if you've lived as long as he has, you have regrets. Uh, if you have regrets, it could possibly make you a bad person, right? Because you could have made right choices at different points, and so forth. But in that culture, especially like feudal Japanese culture, the regrets. It's not about regrets. It's about whether or not you choose to live honorably today or not. And while Wolverine is a blender, right? He's a lawnmower. Basically, he's a walking lawnmower. Um, he doesn't kill indiscriminately. He doesn't kill because he's bored. You never see him killing. Even though he can, it takes a certain level of inner peace to do that. It's the Superman argument, right? The argument about restraint. He can just wall out whenever the hell he wants. Obviously, there'd be other superpowered opposition, but I mean, as the character stands, and often what you'll find is when he's looking for peace, he won't look for that in others. He will isolate himself, whether it's with alcohol or, as we'll find out later, like in a bush somewhere. He will, he thinks he's the problem always. And so maybe it is him trying to just choose to be every day an honorable man in Japan that can kind of, clear all those clouds in his head.
And in the comics, some of the most fascinating, for lack of a better word, fascinating, dopest runs for Wolverine, the character, happened in Japan and followed him from Japan back to the X-Men, and still to this day he's still seeing the ramifications of those stories. So
I always like hearing really, Logan-san.
Right? And that too, like Logan-san.
It sounds so cool, right?
Logan-san. And the Kazuri.
Yeah, Kazuri. Which is way better than Cuckoo Kachu or whatever the hell they were trying to call him in X-Men Origins.
Oh my god! I remember. Oh, what was? Oh,
he howls
man.
at the moon. Kikuwatsu. He howls at the moon.
Oh yeah.
So they called him the Wolverine. Hey, Wolverines don't howl at the moon. Wolves howl at the moon. A Wolverine is not a dog; it's a bear. Anyway, that's a whole nother. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing for a whole nother thing. On a budget of 100 million to 135 million, this thing made $414 million, which makes it one of the many films that made more money than The Flash when it was out in theaters. So I want to say that as well. It cost half as much as The Flash did, and made twice as much as The Flash did. So I just want to put that out there. My man, Wolverine, Hugh Jackman is a star. But if you are ready, I'm ready to get into this full spoiler-filled review for a 10-year film. Spoilers, people.
Woo, woo, woo.
Our film starts off in Japan during the end of World War II on the day America drops an atomic bomb on Nagasaki. Logan, a prisoner of war, watches the chaos ensue as men run for their lives, but locks eyes with a soldier named Yoshida who attempts to free him. Instead of committing ritualistic suicide in the face of destruction like his peers, Yoshida is saved by Logan. Yeah, right? As the bomb destruction spreads, Logan shields the officer with his body, taking on massive damage that his regenerative powers will deal with. Then Logan wakes up to see Jean Grey in his bed. This turns out to be a dream, or maybe even a nightmare, as he appears to have stabbed Jean. What a big beginning. Again, I'm like, damn, these Wolverine movies start so well.
Man, yo, I was literally the same thing from Origins, Wolverine, Days of Future Past. That was basically Wolverine Part 3 for me. And Logan,
Yeah.
like, the beginning of these movies is, man, gotta love history. I'm a huge history nerd, so I appreciate seeing like Nagasaki and then the whole history time skip thing in Origins. I love that because Wolverine's been around since the 1800s their time. Got introduced fighting the Hulk in what decade? The 70s or 80s?
Yeah, one of the best parts of Origins is that sort of montage, right, of all the wars he's been in. So we know he was around for World War II, and the balls to do the atomic bomb, the balls to show that Wolverine can withstand one, or at least the after effects, the outskirts of the bomb, right? Because he's still in a bunker. He didn't take a full on bomb exactly on him, But yeah, how cool was that to see his whole body being singed? And yeah, I'd never seen at the point in this whole X-Men franchise, I'd never seen it pushed to that level before.
Right, the closest we ever got was in X-Men 3 with, when him going up against the Phoenix, like walking towards her, but that was a true display of his healing factor being able to survive that. It was truly insane. And then healing from that in
They gotta
seconds.
do the pulling adamantium out, right? That's like the only thing they haven't done yet, right? The
Oh my
Magneto
God.
ripping the adamantium out. That's
The
still on the
closest they
docket
ever
somewhere.
got. The closest they ever got was him putting the metal in him in Days of Future Past. Like
Yeah.
those metal bars or whatever. Like that's the closest they ever got.
I remember when he spread his claws. he
Oh,
like
oh,
spread
it was
his
that
claws
X-Men?
in the first X-Men, yeah, and then he tossed them back in the
Oh.
train, and he clips his arms on the way in. Yeah, that was good stuff. Good stuff. Uh, um, yeah, I really like this opener again. So much like it's mature, like dealing with all that subject matter. Your kid's gonna have a lot of questions about why are the people stabbing themselves. Why is what war is this? Who dropped that horrible bomb, mommy? All kinds of questions like that.
And
Um,
why'd they do it?
if you want the prequel to this movie, you can watch Oppenheimer, which would probably be out. That'll show you exactly how the events of this movie got put into order. So yeah, man, you can make it a double feature right there. Everything be
Right.
now. Here's my controversial statement to make. I
Oh, word.
buy, yeah, I buy, I buy the claws. I buy the bone claws. I buy elements of origins I probably shouldn't even try to. I buy the hairstyle. Like it's hard to pull, but he does pretty well with it, and I whatever, fine. You're never gonna wear a suit. It's always gonna be a wife beater. Like okay, fine. So I don't think him and Jean have any chemistry, bro. I don't know what it is. I don't see them as like lovers and oh my god and I can't believe you're gone and they've been doing it for like they did it for like four. This would be like the fourth film, you know. And so when it goes there, I just don't buy it. I'm like, that's Cyclops' girl, bro. Like, what you doing? That's my man Scott's
Right?
girl.
Like it's so weird. Like I think they're trying to play off the whole since Scott's
Yeah,
a Boy Scout and Logan's the bad boy. Gene's he's the classic. The girl goes for the bad boy.
yeah, yeah. And I mean,
Uh,
that triangle's notorious in comics. So I get the
oh
adaptation,
yeah.
but like,
It
it's
seemed
just
to not
always
be there for real.
yeah. It's always weird that for like him to only ever not pay attention to her or whether she's living or dead if he's like messing with somebody else only. Right? And then he don't think there's no Gene and then he goes back to Gene and I'm like, what's going on, bro? So like I know a lot of this stuff is heart tuggy, and if I gotta hear one more person in the afterlife say it's time to go or it's not your time to go or any of that kind of stuff, I'm gonna blow up because it happens here. And I was like, they've been saying this for 10 years. This is comic book movies, right? We've been doing this. It's time to
Yeah.
go yet with the dead person on the love of your life's on the other side of limbo, and they're reaching out to you, and it's just you can't go yet.
Like even
Like,
Deadpool did it.
yeah, yeah. Guardians did it, and
Guardians did it. Yeah.
yeah, bro, it moved. I'm pretty sure you can name a million. Um, but yeah, he still. I was actually like, "Whoa, how did Jean die?" I was like, "Oh yeah, you stabbed her." But she also killed a lot of people, which he tells her later on. I love how it tries to guilt trip him at one point, right? It's like
Right. A
you
little
left me
bit.
here alone. He's like, "You killed mad people." Like, hold on,
Like you kill people, Gene. I had to.
you killed mad people. What you thought this was? I got a tinfoil hat theory about that in a second. So Logan wakes up after his stabbing Jean. He's disheveled, he's unshaven, he's in the forest. It's made obvious that he's been living this way for a while. He decides to go into town. He sees a rambunctious hunting party getting rowdy before a hunt. Later that night, he hears a man screaming and some gunshots and goes to investigate, but only finds an injured bear that he then mercy kills. He goes into a bar and finds the hunting party from earlier talking about a bear attack. Turns out the party used a poison arrow, which made the bear go crazy and is illegal to use for hunting. As Logan confronts these men, a strange woman who appears to know the future stops him from engaging. She intimidates the men with her sword and asks Wolverine to join her. So this is the contractually obligated bar fight in the in a Wolverine appearance, which I'm not against.
Literally every Wolverine property.
Never against. And I love that the framing of this is always, we know what he could do. They don't. It's always that. It's always, we're going, oh, you don't want to say that. You don't want to do that. At the entire time. That's our job, is to be bugging out over like these people talking so brazenly to a man who has knives at the ends of his fist. But what do you think of him, detective work, realizing the arrows had poison, putting a poison arrow in one of the man's hands? What do you think about that?
I love when sleuthing Logan is on the foot, is on the prowl, because someone's going to get hurt. And fun fact, Logan is probably one of the best detectives just because of that nose. The nose, bub. Like, he can smell a lie. He can smell the difference between shapeshifters. Like,
he can smell your sweat if you're nervous because you're lying. He
man.
get that down and dirty with it. So yeah, he basically tells these men 1-4, and probably would have killed all of them if it wasn't for who we find out is Yukio. Hi, Yukio. Same character. If you didn't know, just a multiversal version, I guess. So she does introduce herself as Yukio. That actress also she plays a version of Yukio, and I believe she also played a version of Katana in Arrow. I believe she's in Arrow as Katana.
Oh
yeah. And then, which makes her husband, that the person in the sword. The soul, her husband's inside the sword, and it steals the souls of his victims, etc.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, she's getting her money's worth. They're getting their money's worth out of her. She's a great actress. She admits she's been trying to find him for years. She confesses that she was sent by Master Yoshida, the same man Logan saved from the blast in Nagasaki. According to Yukio, Yoshida is dying and wishes to repay all debts. As a thank you for saving his life, he wants to say goodbye in person, but he's all the way in Tokyo. Now, at this point, were you smelling that something might be a bit weird? Because even on rewatch, I was like, this all feels... my master wants to see you in a place very far away. We need to go right now, and it's in Japan.
I've seen this movie so much. Like, even rewatching it, at first I'm like, okay, it seems pretty harmless, even though we know what's going to happen. But like, at first it was harmless because he did save this man, and now it's been like 70, 80 years or wherever we're at the timeline in this movie. So it's like it's believable. You know, he wants to thank you in person. You did save his life from this once in a lifetime, life ending event. Come through, say goodbye.
Could you imagine? Like, they talk about it later on. Like, his Yoshida kind of made Wolverine almost like an urban legend to his children, right? Because of his abilities and stuff like that. Who the hell would believe? I mean, besides the fact that you're actually alive, who the hell would believe you? The man held the door closed as the skin burned off his whole flesh, his hair singed, and then it all just kind of grew back. And I told him, I'll see you in 70 years. No one's going to believe any of that. So, yeah, I think that was interesting. And, yeah, to go to Japan, Logan seems a bit hesitant until Yukio rightly deduces that he's, like, been going through some stuff, going through nightmares and stuff. Do you think it was right for Logan to kind of close up shop post stabbing Jean? Because he's retired, right?
Yeah, he effectively left the X-Men like when they were already in shambles for real, for real. They didn't have a leader. I guess Storm probably stepped up for real,
It
for
would
real.
be the crew we see in the beginning of Days and Futures Past. It would have been Iceman, Shadowcat, um, Colossus,
Xavier,
possibly.
Xavier, Colossus, Bishop, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Blink.
yeah, yep. It would have been those heads. So Logan claims he's not the Wolverine anymore, and I like this. I like that he knows what people are expecting from that title. I like that. I mean, I don't like why he got it on the dog tags, right? Because it's that other girl who gaslighted
Right.
him. but he understands what that title means, and to him, he's not that now. And when he does feel like he is, you'll hear it. And it also reminds me of in Logan, my favorite line readings is the Wolverine as I live and breathe. I just like how that guy, that Kentucky Fried guy, shows
The
up.
Kentucky Fried Southern guy, just
Yeah,
Wolverine as I live
the,
and breathe.
the
I can't even do that.
Wolverine.
It's the most plantation accent you could imagine.
The Wolverine. So, yeah, he responds negatively to being called a soldier. But Yukio says that he's looking for what all soldiers want, an honorable death. This also rang very much to me like in The Dark Knight Returns. That's what he's looking for. He's like, I just need to, however way this is gonna end. I hope this ends honorably. But what do you think about this idea that Logan is cursed by his immortality? Would you think that's something you eventually get tired of? I know it's hard to
Oh,
have a perspective on that, but you know,
oh no, no. If I was man, if I had immortality and I could heal from anything, Logan's doing it wrong. I'll just be doing bets, making money. There's a reason why most immortals are rich as fuck.
yeah,
They have time. You have time to do stuff, and you
yeah,
can Dracula, Vlad Savage.
yeah.
Who else? Who else is immortal and just has a ton of money for no fucking reason?
I'm pretty sure
Scrooge
Ra's al
McDuck,
Ghul is chilling.
Ra's al Ghul. That's another one. So it's like
Yeah.
he's I for lack of better words, I'm not trying to bag on the character, but it's like, yo, just
No,
go
no.
get therapy and to become the ultimate mercenary out here and just stack money. Like, what are you doing, Logan?
I don't even think he'd have so much of a beef if he didn't have the claws. I feel like the claws make him a walking weapon, and he's tired of being pointed at people. You know, I can see that. I can see getting tired of doing that. But when you literally, that's all you got on you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can see that being tiresome. It kind of reminds me of that episode of The Sandman, right? Where that guy lives for a long time, and Sandman's like, "I'm gonna curse you with immortality." He's like, "I'm chilling." He's like, I'm good." He's like, "All I gotta do is keep waiting. This always comes back to me." So I can see that as well. But they make it a point to kind of show that Wolverine lives a cursed existence. That's one of the biggest parts of the entire X-Men franchise, if you will, right? From the moment the film starts, and Rogue meets him, he's pained. He's hurt. He doesn't remember his anything, his background, his family, how he got there, why he has these metal claws. You get to the second one, he meets the man who put it all in him, William Stryker. They go through all that Alkali Lake stuff. He has to murder somebody who had a similar surgery than he did with Lady Deathstrike. Has to end up killing Jean in the third. He's been through a lot. So this almost does feel like, something he would be interested in. And he does reluctantly end up agreeing to travel to Japan, but he's going to go for one day. That's what he says. While en route, Yukio plays coy about knowing the future, and when they arrive at Yoshida's, Yukio tells them that Yoshida has survived many an attack by the Yakuza, hence the entourage of guards and security detail. We meet Shingen, a skilled swordsman who is Yoshida's son, and we meet his granddaughter, Mariko, who is having trouble handling her father's her grandfather's health decline. Logan is cleaned up for his meeting with Yoshida, and the two finally speak. So I believe I'm saying that it is Shingen, I believe.
Yeah,
Shingen. I love that actor. That is the guy who got stabbed by Hawkeye in Japan. The Yakuza guy there. He is Sub-Zero, Scorpion in. Gosh, I'm talking about the dad, not this guy, the father.
Yeah.
Yoshida's son. Am I talking about the same guy? Yeah. Shingen. I think I'm right. I think I'm making sense. Yeah, I gotta find out what that actor's name is. Okay, yeah, it's Hiroyuki Sanada. He was a speed racer, and yeah, he was Scorpion in the recent Mortal Kombat. He's in Bullet Train, bro. If you haven't seen Bullet Train's great. A lot of Japanese influence in that as well. But yeah, really like him in here, and he seems to be an extra swordsman. And we get these guys to talk. I like the futuristic hospital bed, pins and needles that lift him up. Weird sort of thing. It reminds me of that thing you used to put your hand in.
Right, same here. You'd be surprised how many people made comments about that bed that old dude was laying in.
Yeah.
It's like, is that comfortable? Is that cool? Like,
yeah, it doesn't seem like, it. Doesn't seem it.
I mean, he look like he's complaining. I mean, but like, different strokes for different folks, I guess.
What do you think about the Logan being cleaned up scene?
Hilarious. Absolutely phenomenal watching that man struggle getting bathed by some petite Japanese woman.
And they didn't give a damn.
It tickled me.
They were dragging him around. Yeah, they didn't give a damn.
Yeah, you ain't but to dishonor the ancestors coming in here looking like a caveman. No. You get fresh cut.
Dishonor on you and dishonor on your cow.
Facts. Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, dishonor on your house.
Yoshida cuts to the chase. I mean, man's on his deathbed, you know? So he explains he called Logan there for a trade. He believes his company has the ability to transfer Logan's mutant healing ability to another, and Yoshida wants him to transfer it to him to save his life. In return, Logan will finally be able to die and find peace, as eternity/immortality can be a bit of a curse. Logan's like, nah, you don't want none of this. And Yoshida doesn't look very happy. Logan gives Yukio crap for not telling him the full story of what Yoshida's intent was in having this meeting. But he ends up having a vivid nightmare that involves Jean and Yoshida's doctor, Dr. Green. But he wakes up to find no one there. Boom, boom, boom. That night, Yoshida is declared dead after succumbing to his illness. The next day, there's a huge funeral that Logan and Yukio attend, and we see someone watching from the rooftops. They meet Mariko's fiance, Noboru Mori, and later, Logan is told he can go back home by Yoshida's son, who doesn't seem so happy that he's around. There's always a cold-ass funeral scene in these things, right? Where somebody's just mean. Because, I mean, it's a funeral. Tensions are high. Emotions are high.
I swear, out of all the comic book franchises, the X-Men have the most funeral scenes.
He was like, why did you come here?
And the most with their houses blowing up.
Yes, that's true. He goes, why did you come here? He goes, to say goodbye. He goes, okay, so you could be leaving now, right? I'm like, damn.
Right, like, damn.
Getting at my man, Logan. At the funeral, Yakuza gangsters attempt to kidnap Mariko, but Logan and Mariko escape together into the urban sprawl of Tokyo. Logan is shot and his wounds do not heal as quickly as they should. With the help of Harada, a skilled archer and former love interest of Mariko, they are able to get away. They board a bullet train together although Mariko says she doesn't need his help, which proves to be false when the Yakuza confront them on the train while Logan is tending to his wounds. I love this whole sequence, this whole bullet train, Logan on the top playing like Frogger or whatever, playing Flappy Bird, well, letting these guys throwing these guys up and getting hit by bridges and all that kind of stuff. Like that, it's really, really hard. I gotta guess now more than ever to come up with an inventive action sequence in a comic book movie because first, inventive action sequences are already being done constantly in action films. Then you have to kind of try to up the ante and find, something that's not only inventive but realistic and also entertaining. I feel like Transformers did a lot of inventive stuff, but if I can't see it, if I can't make out what's going on, then it doesn't really lead to anything. But this scene here felt simple enough. Him just clawing his way on top of that train and dealing with these guys at this super rate of speed. I really, really liked that. I thought it was cool. What do you think of this scene?
It was pretty dope as well. Like the X-Men movies, each one has that one scene is just notorious and stands out from Quicksilver, from Apocalypse, and even Storm having her moment with and Nightcrawler. Like they have those scenes. It's like, man, that was a good ass action scene. Good
Yeah,
for you, X-Men.
yeah. After fighting off more Yakuza on the train, Logan and Mariko seek refuge in a local love hotel. Logan stands guard but passes out after hallucinating seeing Jean again. He wakes up in a veterinarian student's office. It's funny because I was doing my notes. I was like, he wakes up and I see like the animal, so I put veterinarian's office, and then she goes student, and I'm like, okay. He wakes up in a veterinarian student's office, and that guy was just going to work, doing surgeries. He got all cut up. My man's the hidden hero of this film. He was bleeding out. Logan cutting him mid surgery.
I saw on his arm like that was a pretty big like gash wound. Like those are some sharp claws. That's adamantium. So that cut deep. That
He
was a
got things
clean
doing a
cut.
favor. She's a CEO now. She need to get that man a practice. Stop BSing. Give this man his own veterinarian practice. Uh, so uh, yeah, he thanks her um because they've cleaned up his wounds and stuff like that, and explains he's never needed medical attention before, which is true. But we also did see him on the medical table in X-Men as well, so he ends up on more medical tables than he can remember. Um, so yeah, he believes that Yoshida's Doctor Green, may have stolen his mutant ability from him because, like I said, he hasn't been healing. Yeah, he got cut and started to bleed. He's been taking bullets. He's been healing slowly, but it seems to almost coming to a halt. He's still as skilled. He just can't recoil as fast, right?
Right? Yeah.
And I mean, he's always had pain sensors, so it's not like he can't feel getting shot even when he's healing from it. So that's gotta suck to
The
constantly
only thing
feel.
that truly saved him from like staying down was his adamantium skeleton because them
Yeah,
bullets they hit, but they didn't go through. And I'm
yeah.
like, that skeleton saved your inside soft gushy parts, Logan. You're lucky.
But then no relief, right?
Right. They're
Those
stuck
holes
in
and
them.
scabs and stuff don't just heal over. So that's gotta suck. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
God.
yeah. Harada meets with the doctor in a busy street, and she confirms Logan's suspicions. She did suppress his power in hopes to capture him in this weakened state, and has enlisted Harada's help to do so at the funeral, and he failed there. Harada claims to not work for her, but she threatens him with her poisonous touch before giving him another chance to find them before the Yakuza does. When this happened, obviously it's been 10 years, but did you know who this person was? Did you have any inclination that this was Viper? Was Viper in a lot of promotional material? I was in the military around this time, so I don't remember many trailers and stuff for this film.
They didn't say who it was. I just knew just from comics. I'm like, oh, that's Madam Viper. That's
Yeah.
Hydra. She's She's
Yeah,
Hydra.
yeah, that's tight. Um, Logan and Mariko hide out on the outskirts of Nagasaki, and Mariko confesses that she's set to be the sole heir of Yoshida's empire, not her father. She believes this is why she may be a target for the Yakuza. After chopping a tree down to help the neighborhood, Logan realizes he's at the same site he was with Yoshida when the bomb drops and remembers promising Yoshida that they will see each other again. That night, the two share a kiss and seemingly fall for one another. Logan is, she was digging him from like the second. Well, he saved her from killing herself, right? She almost jumped off a building. I think that might help in the romance department. Any man is willing to get shot in the face to save you, I guess. That's enough to boil the pot, if you will. So yeah, Logan's cleaning up. What else is going on? So that night after a Jean-induced nightmare, Logan confesses to killing Jean. When he awakens, Mariko is being captured by the Yakuza. Yukio arrives to warn him of a version of his impending death, but he doesn't seem to be fazed by it. Do you buy this meme? This now infamous meme. You're laying on your back, covered in blood, and you're holding your heart in your hands, and how they've transposed the ending of Logan. What do you think about that?
I when I first, I was like, no way. But
Right.
the way the I don't know how to word it, but it was beautifully done. How it, you know,
Connected.
uh, thank you for lack of better words, connected.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like poetry; it rhymes. George Lucas said it.
Yeah, and like I said, I wouldn't be bringing it up. Like if it was any other director, it could, whatever happenstance, yada yada. But it is the same director, James Mangold, in this and in that. So it very much could be. He dies on his back with his heart in his hands. In Logan, it was X-23. So
Little Laura.
yeah, Laura, get her ass back. Um, yeah, so she's talking about his death, and he's like, "Yeah, don't worry. A lot of people try to kill me. It is what it is." Um, so after interrogating one of the kidnappers, Logan and Yukio confront Mariko's fiance, who became my favorite character for a little bit, the corrupt Minister of Justice, Noboru Mori, who's having the time of his life. My man is in his underpants, champagne and women, living the life. Has no idea he ain't about to be on that floor for much longer.
Just in his full Captain Underpants, tra la la, just
Bro,
embarrassing.
hide your shame. But no, he's just there and he got nowhere to go, got no answers. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing he can't pretend he was doing something else. He can't pretend he was anywhere else. He's a scumbag because again, he's Mariko's fiance. Now again, Mariko did spend the night with Wolverine, so I mean, yeah. Dishonor. after some after some quote unquote creative interrogation tactics, Mori confesses that he conspired with Shingen to have the Yakuza kidnap Mariko because Ichiro left control of the company to Mariko and not Shingen. Logan tosses him out of the window to a pool below. And, one of the best lines is, "How'd you know there was a pool down there?" I didn't.
Yes, I love it. That's how you do Wolverine comedy, or just comedy in a Wolverine like property. Don't make the character
Yeah.
funny, just make what they do funny and make everything around them just, react to it.
And, it's funny, the whole thing of like, um, tell me, give me give me some answers, and whatever you tell me better be something I want to hear, is basically what he tells him, right? And then at the end, he pushes him out the window. He's like, "Oh, I told you the answers," and he's like, "Yeah, it's not what I wanted to hear." He tells him out the window. I'm like, oh, he's a man of his word. That is what he said when he started all this. Mariko is brought before Shingen at Ichiro's estate when ninjas led by Harada attack and whisk her away. Logan and Yukio arrive later and, using Ichiro's X-ray machine, discover a robotic parasite attached to Logan's heart, suppressing his healing ability. What a cool design for this thing, right? This little parasitic Doctor Octopus.
Like that looked like Hydra. And hold on, can we talk about that whole infiltration scene with the ninjas?
Yeah,
Man,
that was that was
that
badass.
that was they didn't make a sound, Sway. Not one.
In another world where Marvel was all shaking hands and everybody was on the same side, there's no reason for me to not believe that this would have been the hand. You know, that would have straight up been the hand, but because they can't use the hand, it becomes the Black Ninja Clan. You know, but yeah, they were skilled as hell. When I think of this movie, I think of them, but it's in a different scene, and I think I know. I think you know which one I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
So Logan cuts himself open and extracts a device in a pretty metal fashion.
Badass.
During the operation, Shingen attacks, but Yukio holds him off long enough for Logan to recover and defend her. Shingen is full of hatred towards mutants, stating that his father's obsession with them is what ruins his family's reputation. It's not an X-Men movie without some bigotry. Up front, we hate mutants, mutant kind, muties, etc. and so forth. His words, not mine. Yep, so yeah, he brings that up. But again, this is one of those moments again where I'm saying, you have no idea. Like now he's up, he's healed. Wolverine's healed. My boy Logan's fine. You got no idea what you're about to get into. Like he's there with the sword, he's talking all this stuff about mutants, and I'm like, so in a vicious battle of sword versus claw, Logan handily defeats Shingen, but chooses not to kill him. I was surprised by that. It was right there. Could have just got him. As he walks away, Shingen attacks from behind and impales him, asking, "What are you?" And Logan answers, "The Wolverine," before plunging his claws right into Shingen's neck.
Just flawless victory.
Yep. Boom. Before they leave, Yukio finds diagrams for a samurai suit. Foreshadowing. Viper poisons Mariko. She like to poison people with a scratch. She's licking people's faces. It's a whole thing. She's getting crazy. She don't know. This was pre-COVID, so I guess back in those days you could just like scratch people in the face and lick them and all kinds of stuff. Yukio and Logan then follow Harada and Viper to the research center where Logan is attacked and captured by Harada and the Ninja Clan. Logan does battle with the Black Clan, taking on several skilled opponents at once, including Harada, who dips several arrows in poison and instructs his men to fire their arrows at the Wolverine, but he perseveres. Eventually, with over 24 arrows in his back, Logan succumbs to the poison, is stopped, and eventually captured. So when I think of this movie, I think of that. I think of him walking with all those arrows in his back and them trying to pull him back. What a shot. What a show of resiliency by the character. It couldn't have been done in a worse film, you know? But like, yeah, he's like got 2. All right. He's got 3. He's still walking. He's got 4, 5, 6. And you're like, okay, come on, Logan, get there. You're 8, 9, 10, 11. You're like, oh, what's going on here?
And that trope is done in so many things where a person will get hit with one thing and then another, and they're like, I'm still standing, and then
Yeah.
And now they're down.
Yeah. And it took literally, it looked like a poison arrow to the spine to not even kill him, but eventually, knock him out. But wow, really, really cool scene there. Logan wakes up in a machine created by Viper, where she explains she is a master of toxins, but also immune to them. She explains the plans of extracting his immortality and reveals her associate, the Silver Samurai, who has an adamantium suit. He also has a sword that can be charged up to increase the cutting power and is able to cut through Wolverine's claws. Mariko talks to Harada, who thinks siding with Viper is the only way to protect her. Is he just a sucker for love? What's going on with Harada here?
Man, I assume like, okay, they clearly have something going on, and then like, oh, oh, they were childhood friends. They grew up together. Ah, okay.
But he's
So
like
did
swearing allegiance
y'all?
to her family, and she's kind of like he's like I like you, and she's like I kind of just like you, you know.
Right? So I'm like, what?
And I
What?
I like Logan, you know. So yeah,
Like I like you, but I like Logan.
yeah. Because think about it. After all that's said and done in this film, he really didn't accomplish anything, or he didn't get anything for all his work. Because he got. But she kisses him, she distracts him because he's a fuck boy, and then she stabs him in the leg, and she escapes. Um,
Ah!
She manages to direct the machine Logan is in into the Silver Samurai's sword strike, breaking it and freeing him. Harada sees the error of his ways and goes to help out Wolverine and Yukio, but is eventually killed by the Silver Samurai. What do you think about Yukio and Viper throwing hands, and then old girl taking off her wig?
I thought, well, you know what? It was a pretty dope fight between two mutants. Well, between two beta class mutants. No, they ain't alpha class. Beta class mutants. It was a pretty good fight. I liked how between the fight, like how Yukio got the upper hand and dispatched her, but it was like, up. Oh, she's not down. She can heal. Are you serious? She can just shed her skin and come back. That's pretty OP. That's kind of
Yeah,
broken, actually.
yeah, and I like how gross it looked.
Right? When she was pulling her skin off herself and just ripping it all, I was like, oh god, she is really dry if she does that. Oh god.
Logan sees it later, like on the on the like
Ryan's
the
just
metal.
like,
He's
huh?
like, what the hell? So yeah, poor Harada, because he helps him. He's eventually killed. Yukio arrives and kills Viper by hanging her. That was pretty like metal and like not PG at all. I was like, damn, straight up hung her ass. Um, yep. While Logan fights over Samurai, Samurai cuts his adamantium claws off and extracts his immortality, and he's revealed to be Yoshida. So totally down with that. Did you not think that the weird drill thing was a bit weird? Like the drill, drill taking your essence thing? Because I don't understand. He doesn't get his immortality from his bone claws or his or his claws.
See, the interesting thing about Wolverine's healing factor is that it comes from his brain stem, but it's like throughout his bone marrow. So
Okay,
like
so he was
is
pulling his bone marrow. That I buy.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, so he's just basically tapping into the last extension of where the healing factor goes and just going to the root through the nerve straight into it. And I don't know, comic book movie magic
I
extracting
buy
his
that.
healing factor.
No, I totally buy that. But when I was watching this, I'm like, what is he? Zzz? I was like, what's going on here? It's like he was giving him a pedicure. Like, I don't understand what's happening here. So when it's revealed to be Yoshida, were you surprised in the theater? You're like, oh, this son of a gun.
When I first saw it, yeah, I was, because I'm like, oh, I thought he died. How did he came? What? Because at first I thought it was just a robot, you know?
Yeah. Because they
Like it
play off
moved like a
that death pretty
robot.
quick, right? We meet him, and then the next minute
Yeah.
they're like, and then he died. And you're like,
He was like,
what?
well, damn.
What?
Like, oh,
We had to,
well, damn, Wolverine. See, he literally, you had one chance to save him. Now he dead. Now
he
you gotta live
died.
with
It was like 8 hours.
that.
8 hours later, killed the man. Ridiculous. Um, so boop boop boop. Yoshida reveals he's planned this entire thing with Viper, knowing Logan wouldn't just offer his powers up. You know, he made this suit that would be strong enough to fight Logan, and then thus, and in a weakened state, once Viper poisoned him, and then he will be able to just take what he wants. Um, just as Logan's life is set to leave his body, Mariko stabs him, him being Silver Samurai, and then Wolverine's bone claws start to grow back. I didn't really understand any of that, to be honest.
Really?
Well, I guess he was fully healed from the Viper thing, right? So they were just kind of waiting for it to bounce back.
Yeah, basically, because heated adamantium that did a number on him when he chopped off his claws. It had to take a second.
Man, the way he beheaded Silver Samurai, I thought he was dead. I didn't think there was a little man in the chest. I was like, "What's going on there?" But when he had that heated adamantium and sliced right through him, I was like,
Oh, it's over,
"Crazy."
right? It's
Yeah,
done, right? And then, lo and behold, it's Yoshida in the whole
Yoshida
mech suit.
in a whole damn mech suit. Yoshida takes a he gets some more stabs from Wolverine, and then Logan, because he knows he has bone claws and that's adamantium, he rips off parts of the adamantium chest piece. It's like, hold on, let me get this out of the way, and then stabs right through the chest. It says he falls to his death, but no, he was carried by Wolverine over to the edge of the cliff,
And he threw him off.
and he tossed his ass off. After passing out, Logan has one more hallucination of Jean and moves on from her death. So this is like the guilt trip part that I was talking about, where she's like, he's like, "Are you coming?" And he's like, "No, I'm not going yet." He's like, "You left me here all alone." So that tells me she's in hell, right? Because nobody else is there.
Right, because I'm like, wait, ain't Cyclops dead?
I'm about
Like,
to say,
shit,
there's
them
a lot
two
of
be together?
there's a lot of people dead over this course of the series. So I think Jean's in hell. So if anyone if anyone's wondering, maybe this is how she comes back in Deadpool 3 to fight Scarlet Witch. She comes back from hell. You've heard it. You heard it here, folks. Uh, what do you think about this being third act? I only have one major criticism, and I think it could have used a better location. I guess it's probably just dark because they wanted the Silver Samurai's TGI to look good, which I thought looked fine. But if it was done, maybe like snow or something, like something more Japanese, something more kung fu samurai stylistic, I feel like could have been chef's kiss, and we're like in this industrial thing, which is kind of like how Origins ends, right? In like this weird industrial laboratory factory thing. But besides that, what do you think of that third act?
I thought it was pretty good. Like, overall, as the movie itself, I gave it an 8.5, but that third act was pretty solid. I like I said, the Silver Samurai is completely different from the comic book version of him. The
Yeah,
difference is staggering.
yeah,
So, like, I wish there was more of the actual Silver Samurai, like the mutant version of him, or like someone in their family was a mutant and then they shunned him, and then he came back to try to claim the family name. Something along those lines. That would have been dope to add like that surprise twist. But overall, I liked it. I enjoyed it. Just wish it
like
was in more of a, like you said, a more of a Japanese styled aesthetic.
like you need some Quentin Tarantino cuts, and
A little
edits
bit.
where it goes to the
Like some,
aspect ratio and
and like the quick draws
yeah.
and the
Oh,
height
oh
and the
boy,
hoop.
Shingen did the torso cut. He did the run up,
Oh
but then
yeah,
he
they did.
healed. Yeah, but then he
Yeah.
healed. So like like some of that stuff. I mean, there is a Wolverine anime. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
I haven't. It is pretty damn good. It
Okay,
is
yeah,
pretty good.
his fighting style lends himself to all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I really dig it. I like I said, as far as third acts go, I like that it was simple. I like that it wasn't the end of the world. There's no big sky beam in the middle of this. They're just able to kind of wrap this story up, and it is a very personal story from Wolverine, and one of the kind of hallmark slash tropes of the character is that his past always comes back to haunt him because he's lived such a long one. So the idea that something would come back from 1940, it's pretty
Yeah.
interesting as far as the character is concerned. Moriko becomes CEO of Yoshida Industries and bids farewell to Logan as he prepares to leave Japan. They like make out in front of everybody, and everyone's like, "I thought you had a fiance. Like, I thought, are you guys not married
Clearly,
anymore?"
yeah. Clearly, that's broken off. Mhm.
Yeah. Did he die in the pool? Is that
Oh no, he lived. He lived. Lucky bastard.
um, Yeah, so they like making out at the thing. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. And she asks him to stay, but he says that he's a soldier and he's been hiding for too damn long. Yukio vows to stay by Logan's side. She's not leaving his side, bro, for nothing. Nothing ever. We will never see Yukio ever leave Logan's side. Ever. Unless you remember the fact that you will never see this character again. It's a shame. She could have been good in some of these other films.
Yeah, it's just man, she would have been great in Deadpool. Hopefully, we get to see her in Deadpool 3, maybe.
I got like semi excited for a little bit when with that ending of she's like, "Well, I'm your bodyguard." Like, where are we off to next? I was like, "Oh, where are we?" Oh, yeah, no, wait, back in time, then forward in time, then yeah, it's about to. Yeah, it's not. We'll never see you again. Um, that ends, and then we get a mid-credit scene. Logan returns to the United States 2 years later, and is approached at the airport by Charles Xavier and Eric Lencher, aka Magneto, who warn him of a weapon humans are creating that will bring the end to the mutant race. And that's Sentinels, right?
Yep, and yep, my whole connection with that the whole movie is they don't explain in no way, shape, or form how that happened unless you watch the end credit scene to Last Man, X-Men Last Stand.
But
But they
also,
still don't explain how he got there.
no, well, yeah. If so, that's I agree. In Days of Future Past, you were told slash shown that there's a timeline that exists in which Mystique kills the president, which then allows Bolivar Trask the permission to create Sentinels in their very early stages that will eventually grow on to be so evolved that they just massacre mutants in the future. But in our timeline, the timeline that the first X-Men films happened in, this timeline that the Wolverine happened in, there are no Sentinels. There's never been Sentinels. So why are there all of a sudden Super Sentinels? Like off the rip Super Sentinels, not even like evolution of Sentinels. Because off the rip they shapeshift and because they take Mystique's DNA and they shapeshift and all this other kind of stuff. It was probably there somewhere. It's just a lot of timey-wimey stuff with this X-Men stuff that's like.
There was one commercial in the Wolverine where it was the Trask Industries commercial. That was one commercial they showed, like when he was in the airport.
Is there not a Sentinel head in The Last Stand? Do they not do the knuckleball special in the Danger Room?
Yeah, they did. The whole Sentinel head fell off, fell in front of them. So Sentinels are a thing,
huh?
Or are they not?
We've still yet to see. I'm about to flip out.
Right?
I'm about to flip out. I just realized it's been 20 years Sentinels. And we've never seen the X-Men fight the Sentinels. It's been 20 years and I've not seen the X-Men just fight a group of Sentinels. Just like the putties. Like I don't need them to have emotions or feelings or backstories. I just want to see big ass robots getting ripped apart by people with vision, powerful vision and storms and shit.
Right.
Wow, I can't believe we still ain't do that.
Right? Hopefully we get that in Deadpool 3 with the TVA, the Fantastic Four, all the old Fox properties, friggin' Jean versus Scarlet Witch. Who's to say that we are going to get that, actual Sentinels?
The reason why I got so hot is because there's so many companies that get criticized for making up big CGI villains for the sake of not having to do any character development, and they already have them. Like you don't have, no one's ever going to be like, oh, why'd you take a shortcut? It's like, no, they fight the freaking things. Bring in the Brood. I want the Brood next, man. Let me get them big ass roaches. I want some scary stuff. Let's get crazy with these X-Men films, bro.
Man, I think that was there in Dark Phoenix. That race of beings that were trying to take the Phoenix from Jean. I feel like that was their shallow attempt at the Brood.
I think that was their shallow attempt at the scroll, so they forgot that they lent to Captain Marvel. And then you basically had two movies of shape shifting aliens and a very powerful woman who didn't realize how powerful she was until she let loose.
You can also
So
just stuff away when a movie just came out about
yes.
half of life in the universe getting
Did
dusted away.
did you hear that they had to reshoot their third act because it was too close to Captain Marvel?
Yeah, that was
It
yeah.
probably it probably would have been her flying up into the spaceship or whatever and then becoming the big Phoenix. Um I always laugh, bro. If you ever want to laugh, go back and check out the Major Issues podcast episode on Dark Phoenix. It's one of the few films that broke me because I was really rooting heavy for this franchise to come, like to do a dive back up. I was already against the fact that we were already doing Dark Phoenix again. Like it just felt like, wait, whoa. We just established who Jean Grey was. Like we just did we just touched on the Phoenix in Apocalypse. I know y'all get crazy. And then I saw her, bro, and I was so like, I think the ending's hilarious. That it's Charles Xavier chilling with Magneto, having coffee or chess or whatever. Jean Grey's like dead spirit is, is hanging out above them. Like what? What? Anyway, I think this X-Men movie or Wolverine movie, I should say, should get more credit in general. It's definitely a good run to take from. Wolverine has some good hit and miss runs. The entire origin was pretty fresh. The origin source material, which I believe is called Origin, isn't it, or something like that?
Yeah.
That was pretty new when they made Origins. It's interesting to see such a popular character doesn't have a myriad of stories that they can pull from. So it'll be very interesting. I'll be very interested in seeing how they integrate Wolverine into this. But part of me wants them to wait again. Same thing, like similar thing. Like, wait up a bit, man. I still need a good Cyclops. I'm definitely gonna need a good Magneto. Definitely gonna need a good, Charles Xavier, Professor X. But yeah, man. I hope that the mutants get a fair shot this time. It's what I'm gonna say. You know,
You know
uh,
what? I feel like they're gonna get the treatment like how the Avengers did in the beginning. Like, they're gonna introduce characters. Like every character's gonna get a standalone with other characters introduced into the movie. Like Charles Xavier gets his own movie with Magneto in it. Wolverine gets his own with like a bunch of other Weapon X characters and Weapon or X Force characters in it. Cyclops, Storm, Jean Grey get their own movies with other characters introduced into it. And then they all come together as the X-Men with the rest of the roster get introduced into the movie. Boom, bada bing.
the
It's
biggest
there.
the biggest issue is with guys like Logan who would have purportedly been around for 100 years. That's where they get stuck. It's guys like Magneto who would have been in the Holocaust. So he would have been on whatever Earth we're talking about since the 1940s. So it's a Fantastic Four issue, right? Like a whole family. No one's ever heard of these people
Oh
before.
wait. Oh wait, hold on. I just remembered something crucial. Since the mutant saga is going to take place after the multiverse saga, Kevin Feige has gone on record to state that everything after Secret Wars is basically going to be like Battle World. Those of you who don't read comics, after Secret Wars and Doctor Doom basically saved the multiverse, he compiled like 158 different realities into just a giant planetoid, area all sectioned off by each individual
He just
universe.
squished it all together.
Yeah, so a lot of these stories after Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars will be Battle War stories. So we will. That's how we kind of explain why have they not been in the MCU? Well, it's only been the sacred timeline. Now we have a multiverse. Now they can have a story or a universe that explains. Well, we have a universe where the X-Men were there, and explain why they weren't there, or X-Men that was there during the blip and when in Civil War, and all that other stuff. You
Yeah,
get our cake and eat it too.
I'm right. Because I don't think. I mean, sorry. It could quite possibly be true that Hugh Jackman's last turn at Wolverine would be in this, but it would be a shame if he never stood toe to toe, shoulder to shoulder with Cap, Iron Man. Again, I don't know how Cap's coming back, but you get what I'm saying. Like some of those characters. we've never seen him suited before. We now see him suited with another suited character. It's the first time it's ever happened. So like people gonna want to see more of that. And I can't wait. That's coming out 2 years from now, right? Or is that next year?
Oh
Deadpool.
yeah. Oh man, with this writer strike, they are definitely gonna have to re-release a whole new roster of just release dates for these movies.
Yeah, and pay the people well, because look at this
Facts.
classically trained Broadway actor, Shakespearean almost, comes down to bub it up with some adamantium claws and ends up giving us a hero performance that people are still talking about to this day. That people still say is never one that's going to be topped. And I think films like this show it. He was doing this thing where my phone bugging. He was doing this thing where um he wouldn't eat or he wouldn't drink any water for a couple hours before he shot his scenes.
Oh
So his
yeah, I
body is
read his
completely
workout stuff.
dehydrated. This is the biggest he's ever been for a Wolverine performance. This is the most jacked he's ever been for a Wolverine performance. It shows. He's constantly shirtless, and his vascularity, or the veins show pretty well. His muscle tone and definition and stuff. So yeah, he definitely always put the passion that he wanted for this, and that Logan was also a passion project of his. So you gotta believe that either the check is big or Ryan's got something up his sleeve for Deadpool 3, and that's the reason why he signed on. Could be either one. Either way, our boy Hugh will be A-okay, and so will the character of Wolverine, regardless of who is next to step in those adamantium claws. But we'll be talking about more about the future in general, as we continue these adventures, as we continue to follow these writers, these actors, these artists, and our favorite comic book characters each and every week as part of the Major Issues podcast. We do the Major Issues podcast each and every week. It comes out every Wednesday, not on Vibranium. We try our best here. And every single episode is available on the Major Issues, on ComicBookClique.com, which is the one stop for everything Comic Book Clique, our merchandise, articles written by us. And again, every episode of the Major Issues podcast, we are chug-a-lugging our way to episode 300. Super excited about that. Been having a lot of fun going back and listening to old episodes and hearing the joy drain from my voice as I talk about the DC universe slowly descending into madness. But yeah, man, it's always great to get this stuff recorded, to talk about the stuff I love, and I come up with these topics so that you guys can join in on the conversation. So make sure that you're following us all over social media, facebook.com/comicbookclick, Instagram at comicbookclick, and that you're using the hashtag comicbookclick to talk about the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. We're at Major Issue CBC on Twitter, and also at Major Issue CBC on Twitch. And tell a friend about the podcast. They can find it wherever podcasts are found. Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, the Apple Podcast app. Google had a podcast app. I don't think it does anymore. But just Google Major Issues Podcast or Comic Book Click, and we will be the first result. We've been here for a while, people, and there's still room on the bandwagon, so jump on before it gets full. You can help us out by joining our Patreon, patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse. That's over at comicbookclick.com. You can just hit that support CBC link. Also, if you buy anything from our TeePublic store, we get a kickback from that. It helps us afford the hardware and the software that we use to provide free content for you guys each and every week. If you can't support us monetarily, like I said, share the podcast, share the wealth, become our friend on Facebook, share our memes and our news reports. Consider volunteering for Comic Book Click. We're always looking for people who want to write articles, who want to be on the podcast and be a part of this amazing team. But yeah, that's going to be all this week. Like I said, make sure you get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon becomes full, because I've been to the future where we do become the latest and greatest thing to come to comic books and comic book media. And I can't tell you how we do it, because if I did, it ends up messing up the timeline, and then it ends up becoming Professor Dwayne Johnson in the chair. To me, my failed franchise, I'll just say. But that's going to be all this week. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don.
And I'm A-Rob, the Marvel God.
And this has been our full recap and review of The Wolverine. And remember, whether you got a poisonous touch, you can tell the future, or have a healing factor. Remember, it's to me, my X-Men. It's to me, my members of the Clique. Remember, you are the Clique. And always remember that you, yes, you, are worthy.